Hey, what's going on, traders? Happy Tuesday. Thank you guys so much for tuning back into the video today. As usual, I'm going to go ahead and provide you guys with an update and let you guys know exactly how my day trading did go today. But for any of you guys wondering, this is Holly. She's a brand new puppy we just got in our family. And, we've had her for a few months now. We're finishing up getting her vaccines. And so we're excited to have her, join us in our trading journey. Oh, she wants to go down. So I'm going to go ahead and put her down. And let's get right into today's video. So as you guys can see from the screen, today was a green day, right? So in terms of my day trading, I did make $155 on SQQQ, and I did lose about $13 on TQQQ, right? So I did finish up about $140 on the day, and then I did decide to take some swing positions, right, that I do plan to hold overnight. So I'm going to go ahead and explain exactly why I decided to do that. But for any of you guys wondering, you guys can see my filled orders where I stopped trading, right? I pretty much, for the most part, stopped trading around 1040, right? And then as you guys can see, I started trading right around 620, right? So slightly before market open. And so let me go ahead and explain exactly what I saw. So, heading into the market open, what did I see? Well, the Nasdaq was indicating strong signs of an uptrend, right? It was forming these higher lows and higher highs, right? And then right at 5:30, this thing absolutely shot up like crazy, right? And we talked about this in yesterday's video. At 5:30 in the morning, there was a PPI report, or the Producer Price Index, and positive news got released, which drove the price of the Nasdaq up, right? So this thing ended up shooting up, became overextended, started to peak out, right? And then started to pull on back. And so, ultimately, I thought this thing was pretty overextended as is, right? If we take a look at the NASDAQ on the bigger time frame, right, what we'll notice is that this thing was shooting up, quite nicely the past few days. And so we are very overextended. And so I did think there was definitely room for some form of pullback today, right? For the NASDAQ to correct itself in price. And so right as market open, this thing, did decide to shoot up a bit before it ended up peaking out and getting rejected and selling off. And so I was really focusing on SQQQ. I was able to make, some money. And then as it approached the middle VWAP, this thing ended up bouncing, right? And similar to yesterday, this change in direction ended up causing me to give back all my profit. And then what ended up happening the rest of the day? The rest of the day was very choppy. As you guys can see, this thing would push up, push down, push up, push down, right? Push up, push down. And so it was really just, trading sideways, and it was really frustrating me because I kept losing money by thinking it was going to start to sell off, but then it'd change back direction and I'd have to, cut losses. And so um, I ended up giving back all my profit that I made on this sell-off, right? Just because I kept trying to trade choppy conditions. And on top of that, I actually put myself in a big hole. So I was down about $140, maybe 150 at some point in the day, right? As I continue to get in, thinking it was going to start to sell off, this thing would change direction, right? Given the choppy pattern. And I kept having to cut losses. And so I ultimately decided to wait for an actual setup, right? Because I really couldn't risk any more money at that point. I was already down a decent amount on the day. And so later on, right, as I got alerts that this thing started to sell off, I started to focus on SQQQ aggressively because I knew that, the NASDAQ had potential to sell off today given how overbought it was. And as this thing starts to sell off, I started to really ride SQs hard, and I made back the $150. And on top of that, I was able to walk away with a decent profit. So definitely happy, right? It just really goes to show how when you really try to force trades in choppy conditions, you're really just doing a disservice to yourself, right? You're just gonna dig yourself in a bigger hole. And when it comes time when direction is actually clear and in your favor, that's when you really want to be stepping on the gas, right? So imagine I never took any of this loss here. I waited for direction to become clear, and once it did, right, I was able to ride all of this down for profit. That would have been amazing, right? So I actually recovered about $300, right, from the time I was down on the day to, where it sold off all the way, and I was able to walk away with $140 profit. So I'm super grateful that, it was actually able to play out the way I thought it would. But, one thing that I can take away from today is I really need to focus on walking away from the computer when direction isn't really clear, right? And there's no problem with walking away when everything is choppy. and then just setting alerts and waiting for this thing to actually move to uptrend or downtrend before I decide to get in, right? Because I could have, enjoyed my morning rather than just sitting there and continuously giving away the profit I made on SQQQ, right? And then, once I actually get confirmation, right, I get alerts that this thing's actually selling off. I could have jumped right in, and, made some nice profit on the day. But I am gonna, try to implement these better habits heading into the rest of the week. But yeah, that's pretty much everything and how I was able to profit. As I mentioned, right, I saw the Nasdaq being very overbought, given how, overextended it was, and with the report shooting this thing up, it just made it that much more, you know, um, at risk of pulling back potentially. So I decided to buy into some swing positions because this thing did pull on back very aggressively, and we are still uptrending, right? We have been riding the EMA line up. Anytime we pull on back, we end up pushing back up, right? We pull on back, push up. So we did have a nice pullback. So I am going to see if this thing can continue to climb overnight, right? Heading into tomorrow. Doesn't mean it has to, but I'm not going to try to predict where the top is. For all we know, this thing can continue to uptrend. So I'm going to continue to go with the flow, especially on the swing, on my swing positions, as I mentioned, right? Amazon, I got right at the lows. And so I'm looking to hopefully ride this thing tomorrow and, hopefully sell for a profit, but doesn't even have to take till tomorrow. It can take a few days or more to continue to uptrend, or we can see it change direction and start to sell off, right? And in that case, I am going to have to cut losses because I don't want to ride those down, right? I'll definitely consider into buying back more once the Nasdaq isn't so overextended, right? Once we have some form of correction in price before we continue to uptrend, that would be, ideally in my opinion, when I would decide to load up on shares. But that's everything I wanted to talk about in today's video. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you are new to the channel, we really do appreciate you dropping a like and subscribing if you found anything valuable. And other than that, if you guys have any questions at all, anything stock related, go ahead and drop a comment and I will be more than happy to answer that myself. And I can even make a video on it, right? But that's pretty much everything. I will be trading and posting my recap tomorrow, so I will see you guys then. Take care.